All right, so one exercise I'm gonna go over today is shoulder press. And obviously, people are gonna argue about this, but there's many different ways to do shoulder press. And I mean more of a technique standpoint on how you angle your upper arm. So you'll notice a lot of times in Olympic lifters, when they do the catch and they do clean jerk and they catch the weight, their elbows are tucked under. And this is safety for your shoulder when your elbows are this. The more your elbow comes to the midline of your body, the more likelihood of impingement syndrome in your shoulder, where your AC joint starts to bother you, you get a little separation in there, and or you get dysfunctional and tightness in your rotator cuff muscles and the shoulder doesn't function properly, eventually leading to injury. So I tell people is make sure when you do shoulder presses, you're working in a plane of motion this way, no matter what type of press you're doing. Dumbbells, barbell presses, push presses, machine presses, the weight should start like this, move in this direction, and the elbow should come in this plane, not this plane. I'm sure you see bodybuilders, some guys who are great bodybuilders, and they're way better than I ever will be, and they do shoulder presses like that. Well, in reality, genetics sometimes set us far apart where we're able to do everything wrong, incorrectly, or what works for them may not work for 90% of the population. And that's one thing that everybody needs to realize, is stop copying other people, learn the mechanics of your body, and really try to focus on what you need to do individually, but most importantly, execute the technique properly so you can continuously lift, get stronger, make gains in the gym, avoid injury. Elbow tucked, like this, shoulder press. Not like this, right here. Make sure you use proper mechanics in shoulder press, overhead movements. Overhead movements is very easy to hurt your shoulder. There's so many people I know who have a lot of shoulder issues, who can't use four-range of motion because of tight muscles, dysfunctional shoulder muscles. Muscles are very tight, and sometimes to prevent tightness, moving the weight through a full range of motion and or using proper technique can help prevent muscles from getting tight, bound up. Using proper flexibility, stretching, things to keep the shoulder mobile. I'm sure a lot of you guys who used to play baseball know that pitchers really need to avoid a lot of pressing movements, and they do a lot more rowing movements to strengthen scapula and shoulder blades and the muscles in the back, so they have full mobility and can throw. Because when the muscles get tight, they don't work correctly. Most important, be individual. Think outside the box. Do what you need to do. Stop copying everybody else. If a shoulder place hammer strength machine is Ronnie Coleman's or whoever's favorite exercise and you idolize them, and you want to do it because he's doing it, it may not be fit for you. You got to do it to see if you feel it right and you're making progress with it, and or you're not hurting yourself. But that's my little tidbit on shoulder presses today. Really try that technique. You'll notice that now when you see like heavy Olympic lifters, weightlifters who do push presses with like 405, 455, Mariusz Pudzianowski doing crazy weight, is they're moving in this plane of motion. They have real good mobility, flexibility through the shoulder, because there has to be mobility, flexibility, and proper functioning shoulder to lift that type of weight. So if you are not a bodybuilder and you are into weightlifting, powerlifting, and I'm sure every powerlifter can vouch for me, it's technique. You got to get proper technique or injury will occur. So really kind of set your ego aside, pay attention to what you're doing technique-wise, and in the end, you'll be lifting much more weight than you were when you're stroking your ego with improper form. So, all right, guys, I'll give you another tidbit on another exercise next time. So, another issues in my back I always had. A long time ago, a judge says to me, he goes, Chris, in all your front shots, your side shots, you're a great bodybuilder. When you turn to the rear, it looks like somebody completely different. And one of the things I've had focus on problems over the years is genetically, I don't have a very well developed back. I don't have a very well structured back like some people do. They're right out of the box, right out of the gate. They got great definition, great everything. Thickness, size, thickness and symmetry. All they have to do is just make it bigger. Me, on the other hand, I didn't have any of that. I have problems focusing in my head and engaging my back and contracting it. So now when I do back movements, I really focus on pulling with the elbow. So when I pull and contract my back. And the second my shoulder blades are back as far as they can, and my arm is perpendicular to the floor, I stop. Doing this the rest of the way is just kind of yanking on your brachials and your biceps. It's the simplest little critiques of your technique on one motion can make a world of difference in your development. And it's still the same damn machine. It's not a special machine. It's not a special rep scheme or weight. It's a technique. It's how you're pulling it. So here we are, lat pull down. So a lot of people do this. They're leaning back. They're pulling. I'm now pulling with my upper back, traps, rear delts. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build lats. Don't do this. Don't do this. And if you genetically have a great back, you can pull, slam, sloppy weight, slam it around any way you want, you're probably still gonna grow. Lucky you, not me. Not a lot of us, not the most of us. So for lats, you pull the elbows down this direction, straight down. Pulling all with your elbow, pull straight. Squeeze the lats. Down, squeeze. Come back up, squeeze. Completely different feel. So it's a perfect example of changing angle of something to target what you need to. And it's best to go backwards, lighten the weight, and stay focused in the field. Because a lot of times weaker body parts are not dominant muscle groups in that particular movement. So it's very imperative that you try to really focus on utilizing the weaker movements with lighter weight until your body can kind of wake those fibers up in your head, fire them, and then you progressively get heavier and heavier to keep it on that spot you're trying to focus. Like upper chest, sometimes if I told you to do 135 on incline barbell press, and I said, you have to fatigue your chest in 20 repetitions. You can't go any more than that, and you must be fatigued by 20. Most of you just go super slow and really focus on the muscle to try to bring it to failure. That's a perfect concept to adapt in your head when you're doing a movement. You're trying to fatigue the muscle, especially people who are trying to work your weak body parts. Your major muscle groups, squats and things like that, yeah, sure. But if you're really trying to focus on a particular part of a movement, of a muscle group that you're trying to improve, like say mid upper back, you really got to pay attention to close fine detail with how you're pulling it, your weight you're using, how it feels, and then the next time you go to the gym or the next day you see if it gets sore, and then if it doesn't get sore, or you don't really feel like you're really making any ground, then you got to change something else. And that's what you got to do. And I always tell people, people are like, oh, I'm bored with my plan. You're bored with your plan because you're not learning anything. Each time you go to the gym is like class time. You're always learning. You must learn every time you go. Every time you go, your exercise selection, your rep range, everything, it's all something that you're learning, you're picking up, you're taking notes, you're knowing what to do next time, what not to do next time, what to try. Stop focusing on what everybody else is doing and learn and understand the concept of your own body. So learn your body, focus what you need to do. Every time you go to the gym, it's class time. Think about it and learn what you're doing. Ready to cap.